You're listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello, and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Joining us today is Vivian Chien, author of the Noodle Shop Mystery Series. Her second book in the series has recently been released, Dim Sum of All Fears. Vivian has enjoyed reading and writing since she attended elementary school and is now working on the third book in her series. Welcome, Vivian. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, Vivian, we first discovered you because you were a speaker at our local library. How did you land that opportunity?
I actually am friends with Amanda Flower, who is a librarian at the Hudson Library.
Oh, okay.
And she does a program called Writing to Publish. And she asked if I would speak on my first year as a debut author.
Oh, that must have been fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun.
Can you tell us a little bit about your writing process? Did you go in thinking you would write a series?
I've always wanted to write a series. Prior to this, I was working on a PI novel that I hope to turn into a series one day. And I like the feel of a series character and atmosphere better because you follow the people with the situations.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
When you started the writing process, did you write every day? Did you have a schedule? Did you have an outline? Or what was your theory on writing?
The difference between the writing process when you have a contract versus when you don't have a contract is extremely different. With a contract, there's pressure. So definitely writing every day. I think the only day that I don't write is Sundays, which is a family day. Wow. But other than that, I do write every day. Even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes, I will still try and make sure I carve out some time for that.
I guess we didn't realize you were under contract. Can you tell us about that?
Well, the way that it began was a friend of mine contacted me about something that her agent had approached her with. There was a publishing company that was looking for someone to write a series that had an Asian character. And those were the only details that I knew. So
not many.
Asian character, and they wanted something. No, actually, that is all that I knew at the time. So it was supposed to be an Asian mystery, and I wasn't allowed to know anything else. And I was told to contact the agent, who ended up becoming my agent. And she asked me if I would be interested in writing an Asian cozy mystery. And I said yes, but I wasn't allowed to know any other details until I submitted my work, and she agreed we were going to, work on this together. So I submitted 50 pages of 2 novels that I had previously written, and she liked them. And she said, okay, I think you would be good for this. Are you willing to do it? And I said, absolutely. I'm in 100%. Wow. So she told me it was for St. Martin's Press, and that it was going to be an Asian character that worked in a Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
So those were my only stipulations. And from there, I could do whatever I want. So I built a whole world. I turned it into a plaza. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Asia Plaza on the east side of Cleveland.
I know a little bit about it. Yes, we could go to the festival.
Yeah. So I took from that, but I left it the way that it was, and I recreated another plaza and put it on the west side in Fairview Park. Oh, okay. And changed the name to Asia Village, and created a whole community. So I put together a proposal. I had to give them the first 3 chapters, plus a synopsis for the first book, and then concepts for books 2 and 3.
Well, this is a dream come true. How many people come to someone and said, hey, I think there's a great opportunity for you to write a series under a contract. So congratulations. That's very exciting.
That is so cool. A series. Not just one book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that this would happen to me. I always wanted to write, and I thought it's never going to happen, and publishing world is discouraging. So
sure.
you don't think that these things are going to happen. And it just so happened that I got presented with this opportunity. But then the kicker of the whole thing was, am I going to write well enough to be accepted by a top 5?
Mm-hmm.
So that was, it was such a nerve-wracking process, and I turned it in, and me and my agent went back and forth, and she said, okay, we'll fix this, flesh this out, rework this area. And she helped me put everything together and make sure that it was 100% to her liking so that the publisher would like it.
Great.
So, and it sat with them for a little while because they were in the middle of organizing books to be released for the following year. So I had to sit on my hands for like 2 months.
Oh, it must have been
wow.
difficult.
Oh, every day I would check my email. I felt like a crazy person. I would check it at 9:05, and then I would check it at 9:15, just waiting, to hear something.
And then how long was the process of actually writing the book after they said, okay, let's go with it, your concept?
So I generally have 6 months to write the book. But I have been able to, because we were so far ahead of schedule, I was able to get more time. So maybe like 9 months.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it goes through the editing process afterwards.
So you had a strong relationship with your agent who really helped you out. What about the editing process?
The editing process is a lot different than I originally thought, but you go back and forth a lot more than I realized. But it's been great because I love my editor. What I'll do is I'll turn in my book, and I won't say anything. I want to say, I think this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But I don't want to point it out. I want her to see what she thinks. And she always ends up picking out the same exact things that bother me.
Oh, well, that's good. You're on the same page then. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So it's been really great working with her. And she's very helpful and knowledgeable and, what is going to come across as a better book. And I trust her 100%. So I'll finish writing the book. I'll turn it into her. She'll go through it and she'll, pick out the areas that need work, or she'll say, I don't like, this particular part, take it out. This part needs to be fleshed out more, add more in. And then, we'll go back and forth until she's 100% happy with it. And then it'll go on to the next phase.
Excellent. So how much time in between each book being released?
Roughly 6 to 7 months.
Okay. Excellent. And so now you're working on the third book, or you already have that one complete?
The third one is complete. I will get it back one more time to check for minor typos, but it's pretty much set at this point. And I'm working on the fourth book.
Oh, great. So your contract has been extended.
Yes, I was extended for 3 more books.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And will the next 3 books still be part of the same series?
Yes.
Wow.
Great. And so when you were talking before about how you write every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes, is that on this project? Or do you write other things like maybe some poetry or short stories or something? Is that what you mean by writing every day?
No, it's always on this project.
Okay.
So far I haven't. So I still have a full-time job. And so far I haven't been able to learn the juggle of working on multiple manuscripts.
Yeah,
so for right now.
A lot. Full-time job and author.
Right.
Yeah. So for right now, I'm just working on this series, but I do want to publish other series as well. So I'm hoping to somehow learn that trade.
Cool. And did the publisher give you any leeway with the cover, the artwork for the cover?
So I have no control over the cover at all. But I absolutely am in love with the artist. They're
very nicely done.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And each cover, I think, how is she gonna top the last one? And I just got to see the fourth book is named Wanton Terror.
Oh.
And I just got to see the cover for that, and I was so nervous because I'm thinking the third book that's coming out, Murder in Low Main, that's my favorite cover. But then I saw the cover for the fourth book, and I was like, wow, this tops that. I mean, she's just great. So I've been really lucky. But yeah, I have absolutely no say over the cover.
What about the title of the book then? Do they choose the title also?
They have the first 3 books were their titles.
Okay.
That they chose, and they gave me 6 titles to choose from. So I picked those 3.
Okay.
And then these following 3, I used 2 of their titles. Wonton Terror is theirs. And I chose the titles for books 5 and 6. So we'll see if they stay.
Oh, it's just so cool being able to talk to somebody who has a contract to write books in the future. Because so many people we talk to were just wondering, what am I going to do with this book? How can I get it out there, and how can I get it promoted, and how can people hear about it? So what is your publisher doing to help get the word out?
I think a lot of the misconception is that you don't have to do anything when you have a contract, which is not true. So it's definitely a 50-50 situation. They'll send out cover flats to, different interested parties, and it'll have promotional information inside. So in the first one, it just said, this is a new series. The books are planning on being published every 6 months. There's a high demand for diversity and cozy mysteries. It'll have like different selling points in when the book is going to come out.
Okay.
So then in the second cover flats, then because I had a first book out, then it would add the information. This book has this many reviews on Goodreads. This book did really well, in this market, and so on.
Oh, okay.
So they'll do that. And I also work with a marketer, and she will ask me to do maybe a blog on their website. St. Martin's has a website called Criminal Element. That's all for their mystery books.
Oh.
And so I did a blog for them. My publicist, she'll help me get speaking engagements at libraries, and she'll coordinate different events like book fairs.
Oh, okay, great.
Are you just paid on finishing the project, or do you also get paid when books get sold?
When you first sign the contract, you'll get paid then. You only get paid half. And then the other half of that comes from completion of each book.
A signing bonus sounds like you're a professional football player or something. That's pretty cool. And then once the books are sold?
Well, once I submit a completed manuscript, then they'll give me the other half of the money. Then after that, I make royalties once I make them back the money.
Oh, okay.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. So then you still have a reason to push the book, right? So that's fantastic.
Absolutely, yes.
Great.
So we talked to a woman named Kitty Pilgrim who also writes mysteries, and she went on Pinterest and made pins with her characters. People seem to like that a lot.
I'm surprised with how big that's getting in the Pinterest world. My agent actually recommended that I create Pinterest as well. And so I have one, but I don't really have one for the characters. Like I have a board for each book, and I'll put, concept ideas and everything in there. But yeah, Pinterest it's definitely something that authors, if they don't have one, that they should look into, because a lot of people really love Pinterest.
Yes, that's what we keep hearing.
Right.
We're like, oh, okay. We keep going on it. We're trying to figure it out. But everyone we see said, oh, it's the biggest thing. We go on there all the time. Like, oh, okay.
Right, but then to have one for your character, so then it's kind of cool. So Kitty said she would put down like the kind of cars that they like to drive or the clothes that they wear, and then people would follow that character. And so that it kind of like keeps it alive even between the books or after the books are finished being published.
Yes, I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So Vivian, do you have any advice for people who are working on a book or thinking about, wow, that would be fantastic to get picked up by a publishing company?
Well, I think the advice that I would give to any author, a lot of people want to be self-published. A lot of people want to be traditionally published, but I think that for everybody, the same advice would go, always put yourself out there. Take a chance. I tell everyone to take a chance, because I took a chance. When I first started writing, I didn't belong to any groups. I just wrote, and I hoped that, someday I would get it together. And there came a time where I said, I have to start getting involved. I need to meet other writers. I need to network. So I joined Sisters in Crime, which is a national organization that promotes women in the mystery field. Okay. And we have local chapters, which is actually how I met Amanda Flower.
Oh, okay.
And I met several other wonderful authors through the program. So I belong to local and national. I think that was really pivotal for me because I met a lot of people who are in different stages of their career. You get different advice from everybody. You learn different things. And it's also people to talk to that know your struggle.
Sure.
So, I think that would be my advice to anybody. It's in Cleveland, we have a lot of great organizations. We have Literary Cleveland, and we have Sisters in Crime. We have a Romance Writers of America chapter. And I think all of that is very helpful. And I think that helps you, go farther, and also makes you kind of want to take it more seriously because you meet people who have, books out, and they, some of them have contracts and some of them are self-published, but they're all doing it. And it kind of shows you that, hey, I can do it too. I just have to, to put myself out there. So that's what I would tell everyone.
I think that's wonderful advice because we have talked to some people say, they're introverts and it's very difficult. You want to write a book, but it's difficult maybe to...
It's like sell it.
Yeah, sell it or to meet people. So that's excellent. Start with people who think like you. Like you said, your mystery. All right, these people obviously are interested in mystery. You're interested in mystery. There's nothing to fear. You have an interest already in common.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So you walk into the meetup group and you already know that those people are going to be,
rooting for you.
Right. That's great. And so are those like meetups, do they happen like monthly or weekly?
Sisters in Crime, the Northeast Ohio chapter, we meet monthly. There are a couple months that are skipped. We don't meet in January, mostly due to weather. And then we have like a board meeting. So just the board members will get together, and then we'll have meetings every month. And then the meetings sometimes will include a speaker. So we'll have people that are relevant to mystery writing, that could give us information, judges, lawyers. We've had the FBI several times come speak, and they'll talk about, different areas of the trade so that you can get some real life knowledge for your books.
Yeah. What a great resource.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
And then Vivian, what's a good way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Well, I am on basically all social media, but I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I also have a website you can contact me through. It's just vivianchien.com, and I have a contact page on there.
Okay, we'll put that in the show notes.
Excellent. Yes, we will. Well, Vivian, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you for giving us the insight on working with a publisher.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Wow, Matt and I are so excited that in 2019, the Author Inside You podcast lives on.
So we started way back at the end of 2016, and each week we try to bring you a new and interesting author who can add some insight into you getting your book finished. If you happen to have any ideas or suggestions on who we should have on our show, please drop us a line. You can find our contact information on theauthorinside.you.com.
We've had a lot of great suggestions from our listeners, and we appreciate all the help that you have given us.
So keep them coming, and until next time,
right on.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.